Nowadays, the archive is a very widely used tool that astronomers use to disseminate their results as widely and as quickly as possible, and therefore we definitely encourage our authors to use the tool. What we do ask the authors is to put on the archive the originally submitted version of their papers and not the final accepted version of the paper, which essentially includes all the work that the referees have done on the paper and of course the additional work by the editors. This final accepted version of the paper they can actually put 6 months after the publication of the paper. We encourage authors to present their results in conferences and workshops and meetings. This is, of course, the essence of science. And indeed, we also tell the authors that they are free to even publish part of the results that they include in the papers that they submit to us in conference proceedings. Indeed, we are aware that conference proceedings take much longer time to become available to the community. And anyway, we know that they should not be exactly the same as the papers they submit to us. So therefore, we even encourage them to do this as well. When attending a big conference, like for example, the annual meeting of the American Astronomical Society, it is very possible that members of the press are in the audience of your talk. So in many cases, we get questions from our authors whether this is fine to communicate the results in this kind of setting. This is totally fine because this is still a communication of your results with the community and is not a problem for us. Together with the authors, as editors, we try to help them promote their results in the community, of course, at first, but also for the general public. And obviously, when a paper has not been published yet in Nature Astronomy, we do ask authors not to discuss the paper with the press. This means that if you're at a conference and a journalist approaches you asking for a comment or an interview based on the results that you presented in your talk, for example, we ask that you politely decline this offer, reminding the journalist that this is still an embargoed scientific result. It is, however, possible 6 days before the publication date of a paper to send out embargoed communications to the press and journalists, the paper itself, and also this would allow the journalist enough time to read the paper, understand the results, and potentially contact the authors or other experts to comment on these results and on this piece of work. This is completely fine, and we actually encourage the authors to be available during that time to the press and the journalists. But of course, everyone should be aware that any kind of interactions during that time are still covered by the press embargo, and therefore any product that is produced by this interaction should be published after the publication of the paper. There is a number of ways for the authors to share their work with the public after the publication of the paper. Obviously, if they have already uploaded the paper to the archive, this is already there, and this means that it is available to the community even before publication. And then in addition to that, we also offer a service that is called Shared It. And through this service, we offer links to the authors which they can share with their community through, for example, Twitter, Facebook, their institutional website, or some other kind of online repository that allow people to access the paper, a view-only version of the paper. So they can read the paper online, they can actually save it to their own personal online library, and they can even put annotations on the paper. And moreover, they can actually share the paper and the annotations together with other members of their community or their working group.